I'm Rob Sarney, and you're listening to What the Heck Fintech, where you'll experience and learn that Fintech is Fin Life. Let's get started. Okay, welcome everybody. Today we have a great, fantastic fintech friend of mine, and is Austin Zhou. Now, he's been living fintech since he was a little pup, right? So, and we'll talk about that. I've known him since he was a sophomore at WPI, and now he's a bigwig at Fidelity Investments, which we'll talk about a little bit. So, so Austin, tell your story. How did you get into this, this fintech? And, and was it even back in high school? Because it seemed like you were focused that even the first time I met you on all this stuff.
Hey, first off, Professor Sarney, thanks for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure. And you were actually the one who really, got me transitioning, got me really focused into fintech. Actually, yeah, like you were saying, in high school, even middle school, I did have this interest in money and in entrepreneurship and how you make money. So, naturally that kind of grew into dabbling with elements of fintech, learning about payment systems, learning about the stock market, but it was all like very rudimentary. And even going into WPI, I thought I wanted to do computer science. So that's what I had originally applied as. And throughout my freshman year, I was just taking core classes, your Calc 1, your Calc 2, all the history classes, all generic leadership, business classes like, leadership practice.
Yep.
It wasn't until we had that class, I think it was A term, first semester of my sophomore year. And the class was called Financial Technology, right?
Yep.
And I really started to think about, how all these different financial systems work, and how technology kind of incorporates itself into that. So that's really where it all started. I was fortunate enough to get an internship at Fidelity that following summer, where I made, some mutual connections to you, and everything's kind of taken off from there.
Yeah, the thing that I think was really cool about how this all played out. I never would have thought of it, and you never would have thought of it. But in that first class, that fintech class, we had Fidelity in for the project work we were doing in the class. So it's very cool. Learning about activity-based costing. You're talking to finance folks. You're talking to IT folks.
Yeah.
So that gave you a good dose. It was almost like a Fidelity infusion you had, so you could bleed green later. Are you bleeding green yet?
I would say so at this point.
Yeah, nice. That's good. After bleeding green after a couple of years already, yeah. That's awesome. That's what I like to hear. Now, things that you learned were you prepared for all this from what you learned in the courses and in the projects and all that? And you did internships, you had two of them, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Two internships. 2
internships, right?
You want to count that MQP as well? That would be 3.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Your capstone project with Fidelity too, Yeah. So were you prepared for what you saw, or once you got full time, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? I'd love to hear your take, because college is very different than working, and even doing a capstone project is different than working there.
It is. I would say for the most part, the transition was pretty smooth. In terms of being prepared, I feel like it's tough to be fully prepared just because the business is huge, right? And a lot of the stuff you do, it's all comes down to business specific context, business specific knowledge that, you have to kind of just pick up and learn on the job. And that's the expectation. So in terms of those soft skills and the general business knowledge, I felt very comfortable in understanding, how the business worked at a high level, how, certain, uh, I guess like certain operations happen
Mm.
for the business, and generally what the goal is, which is to help our customers. Um, so technically, I came in through the LEAP program, so which is a 4-month training program, technical training program for new associates. And I was specifically trained as a data engineer for those 4 months. So that really helped me out, coming from a business background. Obviously, being at WPI and tech school, you naturally pick up some technical skills through the courses that you're taking. But this elite program really helped me dive deep into, SQL, into cloud computing, into data visualization, into Python automation. So I found a lot of benefit in that. And then once I joined my full-time role uh, within enterprise cybersecurity, I felt comfortable enough to begin contributing right away.
I bet. Yeah. And the thing that, I mean, you've been there for 2 years. I was there for 23. I learned something new every day.
Yeah,
It was, like you're saying, the bit's always growing, it's changing.
yeah,
You meet so many like geniuses and smart people working on all this fintech and tech stuff, and you just learn from all these people every step of the way. It's almost like a class every day, right? And okay, how are we going to figure this out together? And definitely almost like a class in teamwork every single day, right? With everything that's going on and everything is changing. Like the economy's changing now. Everyone, like, what's going on? So
yeah.
it was always move quick, move thoughtfully, get it done. And
Get it done. Yep.
yeah, so in that's awesome. So I bet you're loving that because that is like that rapid at WPI. It's all 7-week terms, move quickly. I bet
Yep.
you that helped you get prepared too because
Absolutely.
Fidelity moves fast and so did WPI from a course standpoint. Like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I think one big thing that I learned right away is just don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid of what you don't know, because no one expects you to know everything. Like I was saying, Fidelity is a huge company. There's so many different components to the business and components to how technologies function, or different teams function. So it's almost like the expectation that you have to go ask for those answers. And that's an important skill, being able to find the right people, being able to get the right answers to whatever problem you're working on.
And that's why you always heard me in class talk about, ask your questions. Your questions tell me more about you than your answers, right? Because that's how I grew up. Not
Yeah,
you're growing up even earlier and faster than me. But when I was there, that's the key to it all. And you can't know it all. It's impossible.
yeah,
And that's why it takes a village to figure out these complex, big financial IT problems or security problems.
yeah.
And one thing I think we forgot to that I think I forgot to ask you now, what uh, what was your major at WPI undergrad, and you got your master's also, just to
Correct.
share that with the crowd, just so they understand
Sure, absolutely.
where it came from.
So my major as an undergraduate was business, with a concentration in financial technology.
Yeah,
I did a minor in data science as well, so took a couple classes. Uh,
I bet
with
you that's really helping you now with all
Yeah,
the data
definitely,
work you do.
100%.
That's great.
And I was actually able to complete my master's in 1 year through the 4+1, uh, and I did that one in information technology, concentrating in database design and database systems. So,
Yep. Very nice.
yeah,
And you had a minor in Sarni, I think, too, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, 28 credits worth, right?
yeah,
That was, I had to go back and count it up. But you have the record. He's got the record. He's got the only minor in Sarni. That you should probably put that on. I should have put it on
Put that on a degree. Yeah.
yeah, put it on your degree, put it up in your house. So okay, we digress. So so what are you doing now with Fidelity? Like what group you in now, and what were you in when you entered, and what will or the last? And I think you mentioned you're in a new group now.
Correct. So I've been at Fidelity for a little bit over 2 years now. I originally joined in June of 2023 through the LEAP program. So that was 4 months, which takes us to October of 2023, where I joined Enterprise Cybersecurity under a squad called Cyber Data Analytics. So we dealt with a lot of data pipelining for end user reporting from different operational databases.
Wow.
So I was in that role up until 2 weeks ago, when I just joined this new team called Financial Crimes Analytics, which sits inside of compliance. So this new team deals more with generating AI and ML models that can detect different types of fraudulent crime.
Now, is that looking at external customers, or is it internal? Is it all external, or is it more internal, or both?
So it's mostly internal customers,
Yeah.
and as we sit inside of compliance, you want to be able to identify these uh, fraudulent activities so that you can send them to specific analysts that we have that can actually go and dig deep into the weeds of what's actually going on there and figure out, is this actually a crime or not.
Yep. Yep. No, that's great. Yeah, that's a very, very cool job, and so
Yeah.
important, and especially with with all the compliance and the fraud, and
Yeah.
that's a huge area. And I mean, I obviously I had a lot of systems when I was at Fidelity, and
Yeah.
I had to help with that and have the right auditing and everything for all that in my system, but I was not in, digging in deep on the analytics, and that's very, very cool, and especially using AI and machine learning and all that kind of stuff. So very, very cool and very timely, because that's a big that's a big focus in fintech everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. To kind of to protect customer data.
Yep, yep, absolutely. So let's see. So you also you played hoops at WPI. Did that, did Coach Bartley get you prepared for this Fidelity the way it is, the discipline to get things done, to to win championships? So like I just because it's probably going to be a lot of students watching this also. So how did sports help you with your life at your new career at Fidelity?
Yeah. So love talking about basketball. Love talking about WPI basketball.
I do too.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, there's so many life lessons that you'll learn from sports in general that I think it's hard to really replicate in other aspects of life. So um, I could tell my story a little bit about how my playing career went. Um, so I spent 4 years on the team at WPI, and I ended up coaching my graduate year. So my first year, first day of practice, uh, came down on someone's foot, broke my foot. So that sat me out for that entire year, which is about 6 or 7 months. My sophomore year was right when COVID hit. So we ended up not playing any games that season. Come my junior year, we brought in a really talented freshman. Shout out to Aiden Callahan. Ended up being an All-American this year, and I was playing behind some really good guards. So got in for a couple of games, but didn't end up seeing the court too much. And senior year, made some progress, played in some more games, but wasn't quite what I expected in terms of from myself for my playing career. But ultimately, I learned. I gained a lot of much more valuable things from that experience, and I think than I would have if, I'd had a better career. So through facing that adversity, I learned that, a lot of stuff that's important isn't based on your success as an individual,
Mhm.
right? When you're part of a team, all that matters is the success of the team, and being able to sacrifice your ego, being able to sacrifice, um, how you feel about yourself is one of the most important things to um, contributing to a successful program. So for me, it was about focusing less on myself and focusing on more on how could I bring value to the team. And sometimes that's not always in the best interest of yourself, but when you have 15, 16, 17 guys that can buy into that idea, it's really remarkable on the things that you can achieve. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. I totally agree because I played sports and I worked at Fidelity and that I thought that was a great. That's why I wanted to see if you had the same feeling now that you're there working there because it helped me be a better team person on projects on leadership on understanding it takes a village to get this stuff done. It's
yeah,
not one person. Like just like in sports, you don't win a championship with one player. It takes everybody. It takes the coaching staff. It takes the fans. It takes the trainer. It takes all that together, right?
exactly.
To do really well. And everyone plays in a very important part that all that to happen. And it has to be cohesive. And you know when it's cohesive and when it's not cohesive.
Exactly.
And I used to say that when I was at Fidelity, I say I could tell how people walk in the halls and carry themselves if they played sports or not, or not even just sports, but within a team. It could be theater, it could be anything, right? You could tell that it's all about they've been in that environment before where it takes a village, and which
Yeah,
I think is so huge for success in your career, and then also especially at Fidelity because Fidelity like it's growing. There's always great challenges. If you have fun and you're working with a team, it's like nothing's better. I used to love project management because it brought me back to my playing days. It really did, and because it's like let's get it done. Let's rally. Okay, we got a tough. Okay, we're late on this project. What are we going to do to get it back on track? Just like you do when you're down a few points or 20 points. How are you going to do it? One play at a time. One play at a
exactly.
time. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so I think you're going to see that show up more and more in your career, and as become more of a leader, and not that you're not a leader now, but more of a leader, a manager, a director, a VP, a senior vice president, right? As you start doing that, remember those moments because those are the ones that is going to differentiate you and also help everyone around you.
Yeah. And that's one thing I noticed is just getting people to work together is a skill in itself, right?
It
A lot
is.
of uh, a lot of problems can come up when you don't have the proper communication or people aren't willing to work together, and uh, the, I feel like a lot of value comes from somebody that's able to get everyone on the same page, get everyone in the same boat, where we're all aligned in that same objective, and that's an incredibly hard thing to do when you talk about organizations that have maybe 200-300 people within them, right? Um, Easy enough with if you have 5 or 6 people directly reporting to you, but if you have maybe 5 to 10 teams reporting to you, it's a whole different ballgame, right?
That's right. So then you get into how do you support your leaders to then support their teams.
Yeah,
So then you can have that culture, you can have that mindset, you can have that let's all help each other, let's make this happen. So yeah, and you're going to keep it as groups get bigger, it gets harder, but that's the fun part too. How do you communicate that? How do you almost like a professor in class. And sometimes you have a class 20, sometimes you have 60, right? So it's that much more complicated to explain. And that's going to happen when you're in a leadership position too, which you'll see. Please come back to part 2 with Austin Zhou, where you'll hear Austin's leadership learning at Fidelity and what he would tell his younger self the day after he graduated. Thank you for listening to What the Heck, Fintech. Make sure you tune into our next episode as we continue to interview fintech leaders and share real-world stories from across the fintech ecosystem, so you can fully understand that fintech is fin life.